Welcome back to Real Estate with Mariah and Spence. So I came across an article this past week on, I think it was on realtor.com actually, and it was talking about real estate agents revealing, like in the article, real estate agents were revealing some of the either hardest clients they've worked with or just like crazy situations. And it got me thinking, like, we have experienced some interesting things as real estate agents. And in the article, it was also sharing like how someone like the general public could avoid being a client from hell or like a horrible client, that kind of thing, to real estate agents. So I thought this would be a fun topic to sit and just share maybe some of the interesting stories we've experienced over the years in real estate.
This is a hard one because when you're working with people, obviously you're working for them. They're not working for you. And so you always have to have their best interest in mind.
Yes.
So like us as realtors have a very hard time, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, determining how to handle a situation that you personally are even uncomfortable being within because a client may ask you to do something that you're uncomfortable not to do. I think this could revert back to everybody growing up to grade school, junior high, college level. I mean, the peer pressure atmosphere, it's pretty hard when someone's face-to-face in front of you telling you to do something and simply you're the professional, you know better than to waste your time, essentially. Yet we brokers still do it, and this is a question a lot of brokers have for themselves. And maybe if you're out there as our audience listening as a client saying like, hey, let's maybe not try to make these mistakes. That's how I would relate the show to be.
Yeah.
And to treat everybody with openness, but also respect on their professional levels, to value their time, just like they value you.
Right. Lately, I have been blessed with some of the most amazing clients. Like the people that I get to work with, the families that I get to work with, they are so respectful of my time. They're so kind. Obviously, time is always of the essence in real estate, but they're just great people. And that wasn't always the case though. When I was newer, at least, I don't know about you'll get to share about that too, but I know when I was newer, my clients were I would work with whoever, I would take anything I could get. And a lot of it was for sale by owners, like we've shared, which are sometimes people with not realistic expectations.
Yeah.
And just kind of made things a little bit more difficult. But
yeah, and that's absolutely true though. Like a lot of new agents, in some ways, they're forced to do things that they're not necessarily willing but have to do. Because think about it, in real estate, you're 60 to 90 days out no matter what from any type of paycheck. This is not a normal employment. The agencies that brokers work under do not pay them on an hourly basis. It is commission based only, so they have to close a deal in order to get paid. So that's one of the big questions a lot of brokers have to ask themselves. But when you're new, especially like you just said, you're kind of in the trenches.
Right. It's kind of like you got to do what you can do. You got to take what you can get. Yeah. And I was really bad at setting boundaries. So because of that, I just had a lot of clients that really didn't respect my boundaries or really have any. And it was kind of a mess in a lot of ways and a lot of experiences.
Right. But so you wouldn't be here without those experiences though.
No. Okay. And I learned so much from them. And now I feel like I appreciate my clients so much more now because the clients I work with are just, like I said, they're amazing. So do you have any specific instances you want to share first, or do you want me to share? I have
a quick story. I'm kind of a storyteller if I'm sharing instances, because I look at all of this as like a growth stage. Yeah. Because ultimately people are people, and we got to fix and learn off of a conversation you had in the past that maybe didn't go your way or as expected. So this is just a client that I had worked with. I'd even done a deal with them in the past. This is a repeat client. We sold one of their properties heading south, and we got them actually here in the valley. And they're very happy with that transaction, full through and through. We sold their home. We got them here in the valley. We helped them buy that home. So we already have 2 real estate deals with them. And everything about our service, the expectations met, us even staying out late, helping them with paperwork when it came to lending, it was all met, and that's our goal for every client. Yeah. But this third time around, we end up selling their home in a record sale, in a record speed of time based off the other homes around it. And they're ecstatic, they're stoked, but now they have to find that transition property. And I had showed them probably over 10 to 15 properties, and this is not in the valley at this point. They wanted to head back south, probably about an hour and a half away. So every showing was, an hour and a half away out of my day.
Right.
And they only wanted to do like one showing at a time, 2 showings at a time, that type of thing. But there was so much more on the market then when they were looking. I had to tell them, hey guys, we need to structure these showings to do like at least 5 homes, because based off their personality, they were kind of in a way willing to buy anything and everything that was in this certain price point. And it was somewhat livable because they figured they're going to have cash capital from selling and they can fix it up if needed. Well, we've been searching for, I'd say a month and a half now. We finally did get them an offer accepted, beautiful property. But then another home comes on market on a weekend, and I'm helping another client. And I say, well, we can go look at it on Monday. It's still going to be available. I've already talked to the broker.
So you're under contract.
I'm under contract already.
With these buyers.
Yep, they're still looking for homes, which in some ways is kind of disrespectful for your broker. But if that home wasn't the right home for you, cool. I'm going to do my job.
That's to the home seller because you're tying up their home.
Exactly. You're tying up their home. You're wasting their time, not only my time.
Yeah.
But they find this home over the weekend. I book a showing on the Monday. Unfortunately, they called the seller's agent, and the seller's agent told them a different story and put the pressure on them as if they have to get in it right now and submit an offer if this is the home that's for them. So they actually booked a showing with another broker while I'm on an appointment with another client, submitted an offer with the listing agent. Obviously, what happens? That offer gets accepted. They back out of my offer that we've already wrapped up with them, and they didn't even turn in earnest money on it, so they were at fault with the contract. And they then, a week later, just ghosted me. Mm-hmm. And this is like months of me putting in an effort and no paycheck, may I remind you, because no closing has taken place.
Right.
And
you had to back out of that deal that you were under contract with them with.
And then they decide to go off on me about my personality or my own personal family, how in some ways we think we're better than other people. And they just went on a personal attack mode, which I just did not understand. I was just trying to reach out to ask them, hey guys, like what happened? Because in my eyes, I was pretty rude. We had a disclosed limited agency representing the buyer as well. So I have an honesty talk with them, and they ended up calling me a liar, everything in the book. And it really like put a damper on like my emotions, or just like, am I qualified to do the job anymore? And that's just one client. And I have like 6 others that I'm working with in the meantime. It just... People don't understand when... Like,
you're a human.
Maybe they're in the wrong, or even I was in the wrong, which I'm going to let you know, like, this was a happy client all the way through.
Right.
I feel like they just needed to push something on as fault to make themselves feel better for writing up a deal with another agent and kind of going back on everything they said.
Yeah.
But that was the one scenario, and those rarely do happen, but that one just sticks with me,
That
honestly.
is rare, And
it comes down to that honesty, though.
Honesty and loyalty from the client. They could have gone to that, like you said, they went to the open house. Mm-hmm. What they should have done is go to the open house on their own. That's okay, buyers. You can go to an open house without your agent if they can't make it, or if you just don't want to tell them. Like, you can go to an open house, but they had a loyalty to you. They should have just had you write the offer. Like I don't understand that, but man, I feel like as agents though, we have to remind ourselves sometimes there are going to be people who are just not, like, no matter what you do, they're not going to be happy. Like, you could do the best job, go above and beyond. They're going to find something to get offended at, to find, like, you just can't please everyone. And
that's why, like, when you're online, even looking at reviews and stuff, you got to give people benefits of the doubt.
Totally.
You got to go off of, like, their average and most reviews you're seeing on the page. Not just the worst 2 reviews, because there's always going to be those clients, no matter what. Maybe you caught them on a bad day. Just like
something was said that was taken the wrong way, or a mistake happened and it wasn't even the realtor's fault, but then the realtor gets thrown under the bus. Mm-hmm. Things like that happen, but you got to have
often
thick
too.
Skin in this business.
Very thick
You got to
skin.
be able to pick yourself up and keep moving on and
And that was
not look back.
And that was kind of my lesson. It's like, how do I move on from this? You know, and I'm sure you've been there too, Mariah.
Yeah.
But people can be really just nasty, really, you know, and maybe they don't even know what they're doing. But
right.
In the end, I mean, we are just people, and we're doing our jobs. We're trying to make a living. But also we have expertise and results out of what we do that we want to guide you with that principle. So that's kind of my story. But it was a lesson too.
I'm sorry that happened, but I know
it is what it is.
It is what it is, and it's
we
expected in this business. Yes, it is. It's bound to happen eventually.
It was awkward closing their home for them. That was
because you were still selling their home in the process. Oh, that would be. Did you?
No, that's what I'm saying. It was like the most weird, awkward situation that like did not need to be.
Oh man.
And unfortunately, that happened. You know, they ended up paying me a commission off the sale of their home, but I wasn't, for whatever, able to represent them on the buyer side because of just things they decided to feel about me.
Man, well, I'm sorry. So I had a client. I will not share a name. She was an elderly woman, and this was, how long ago was this? You know who I'm talking about. How long ago was this?
I think like 2 years ago.
Maybe. Oh, I think it was more than that. 'Cause I wasn't even pregnant yet. It was like 3 years ago.
Yeah, we're going on 3.5 years.
I don't know. It was a little bit ago. I was pretty young.
Dang,
so,
dude, it flies.
It flies by. Yeah. So I had this client. She, I don't even remember how she came to me, but she, I was working with her as a buyer. She was one of my buyer clients, and she was looking for a home, and she was looking in so many different towns. If you're not from our area, then you might not really understand, but basically what I would do with her is I would put her in my car, which I learned a lesson. I will not do that again.
Don't do that.
And sometimes I have clients ask me if I can drive them or whatever, but honestly, for liability reasons, nothing bad happened with this, but for safety, because, you know, it was a young woman, but also for liability. No one wants to get sued. You never know what can happen. So I don't do that anymore, but she insisted on driving with me. And like I said, when I was younger in my business, I had no boundaries. And I really didn't know how to stick up for my boundaries because I just didn't have them. So, she drove with me. I would put her in the car. We would take a whole day and go from town to town to town. And we did this so many different times, many, many days of all day long with her in the car. She was looking everywhere from Eugene to Portland to, you know, left, right, front, like every direction you could think of. Lebanon, Sweet Home, all these different towns, Woodburn, like all these towns you could think of, Dallas, up in the canyon. And I drove her around everywhere, and then she ended up buying she didn't even tell me. She just bought a house out of nowhere in Eugene and didn't even tell me. And I think one comment that she made, though, after I spent all this time driving her around, I remember in the car, she had made a comment about like how she hates when realtors say that they won't work with you if you're going to work with other agents. And I don't know what I was thinking. I think I was just too, like I said, young. I was very, very young. I was newer to the business, and I just didn't have boundaries. And I don't know what I was thinking, but now I would never work with somebody who would make a comment like that, because as real estate agents, it doesn't work that way. So if you're a buyer and you don't understand that, the worst thing you can do is call multiple agents. Yeah. You don't want multiple agents working with you. You want one agent who you're going to be loyal to, that will be loyal to you. Mm-hmm. And like, period. You don't want to be hopping around. That's not going to help anyone. Yeah. So that was, it wasn't like that crazy of a story, but it was a circumstance where, in my opinion, it was, not that great of a client, because that was a mistake, but also on my end, a mistake I learned, to just set different boundaries and run my business a little differently. But
yeah, and it's hard because ultimately you kind of just don't know, though, when that'll happen to you, unless you just have this gut feeling like, okay, I put in all this work. Is this even going to happen? And sometimes it comes to that point where some clients are literally like, you ever go to a car lot and you just look at cars? I'm sure a car salesman could tell you the story of the individual that comes there every week. Everybody knows his name, and he's just there to look around the car lot. And no salesman goes and greets him anymore because he's just a looker, and they know he's not going to buy. There comes a point in real estate, it's sad but true, that eventually you got to have like a come to Jesus or come to heart moment with your client and hey guys, I just need to know, like, are we motivated?
Yeah.
You know, and it comes with the conversation of where are we at? Are we vibing? Are we clicking? Because it's okay if we're not. Like, if
totally.
you and I are working with each other and, you know, we're just not working out. Like, things that are said and our personalities, you can't stand me, I can't stand you type of situation. There's no need to continue that business relationship. But the hard part is telling the other individual rather than like ghosting and then us finding out sooner or later, like 5 months later, hey, you bought a house 10 minutes away from where we live without us.
Right. Fortunately, that type of situation, now that I've been in the business longer, it almost never happens. It's extremely, extremely, extremely rare. And the way that I get clients and that type of thing, very, very rare that anything like that happens. But when I was new, that was kind of a pretty common thing. And it can get discouraging, but that's how you learn. And that's, you know, it's just part of the game. It's just part of running, you know, learning how to run your business, and you learn from it. And eventually you learn enough ways to not let that happen. And you just become better. But those are things you have to jump through as a new agent oftentimes.
Yeah. And I think that the key though was being a new agent and gaining that follow-up and experience of like what to look out for, what to acknowledge when a client says something, and how to maybe hurdle over what the client says to make them feel better. Because in the end, I mean, we have so many hats in this game.
Yes.
In real estate. I mean, we literally kind of have to do it all in a lot of scenarios and roles. I mean, divorces, relations.
Yeah.
Because we're inviting ourselves, but also you're inviting us into your home. And that's pretty personal. It's one of the most personal experiences you might have in your life. And one of the biggest money influencers you will have in your life.
Yeah.
So these are all key characteristics we come in and understand because we do this every day, and we sometimes become numb to it though. We sometimes become numb to realizing and having more empathy maybe for you about your home and how personal it is to you. Because ultimately we're there to do a job, right? And you're asking us for professional advice and honesty. And it's hard telling a seller, hey, your house smells pretty bad. Or, hey, we need to declutter. Yeah. You got a lot of trash in here. Is this something we can work on together and clean it up? Yeah.
Or the client that has like their walls are so decorated that there is not a single, you can't even see the wall because there's just decorations all over them. And to them, it's beautiful because it's how they like it. It's their work of art. They've decorated it that way on purpose. But to tell them like, hey, I think it would show better without all of that, just, you know, take it down a notch, just a little less, but you got to say that in a way that doesn't offend people. It's definitely like a good balance there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's for sure.
That's one of the hardest things that I personally have to do with this job, you know, and based off of those experiences, those have sometimes led us into bad listings. We take the listing, the seller says they're going to do something. It doesn't come to fruition. And look at what happens. Ultimately, sometimes the home didn't sell, or it could have sold for more. And we had to do a price reduction because people just did not see the value you and I see based off the comps, material that your home's built in, and all the above. There's variables in real estate, and there's a reason like staging exists. You know?
Yeah, it makes a big difference. Can I share another story that just came to me? Okay, so this wasn't necessarily like a horrible client. This is more of like a interesting, strange situation thing you don't see every day that you might see in real estate. So I was probably like 19, like a year into the business or so. I went to Dallas to this home, and I knock on the door, and the guy doesn't even come to the door. Did I ever tell you about this?
No, okay. I've never heard this.
I think I called my dad when I was left because I was like, what just happened? So he doesn't even come to the door. He just yells, come in. And so no one lets me in. I just let myself in. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. He brought his bed is in the living room, like right when you walk into the house. And he's laying there the entire time. He doesn't get up. He's smoking the whole time, blowing the smoke in my face. This man is. And it's not a situation, if it was, I didn't know about it, but it did not seem like at all like it was a situation where he like just broke his leg and couldn't get up. It was like the 1,000-pound man. Have you seen that show?
Yeah.
My 1,000-pound life. TLC. It was that was the situation. And he didn't get up the whole time. And I had to bring my paperwork to him and he would sign it. And then I left. And he blew smoke in my face the whole time.
Did the home sell?
Yeah. I had no issues with the client. It wasn't a bad client. It's just an interesting situation that you don't see every day. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, the whole time, ever.
No, that's a scenario not a lot of people get to see, though.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Just interesting things you see.
It is interesting.
As a real estate agent. Yeah. All of the interesting things you come across that maybe, And
you never went back to the house?
Nope. That was the only time. I think I maybe went there to get my lockbox after. I took listing photos were done when I was there.
Wow.
Yeah.
You should call him. See how he's doing.
This was so long ago. I don't think I even have his information.
I mean, you gotta figure something out.
But it was just
that's intriguing though.
Interesting situation, like the things you see.
All sorts of walks of life.
So many
I've
things.
had sellers with parrots and birds.
Oh yeah,
full in her house.
That seller, with so many birds. That was kind of cool.
It was cool, but it was very intimidating at the same time.
And I don't think it helped the house selling.
No, it didn't.
I don't think it helped.
It was a smaller house. They needed more space and room.
Yeah. One time I had a client who was a seller, and I kid you not, I had to rewrite the listing description like 7 times.
Why?
At least. Because I took my time, I wrote it out beautifully, and she kept saying she was like, you need to change this. So I changed it. Nope, you need to change this. Okay, I changed it. Like she kept having things to change, just like never satisfied with it. I'm like, lady. Okay. At a certain point, you gotta just let me do my job and write this description. Like it was like the situation where it was like, nothing is good enough. That kind of thing.
But there's people
that are very hard to please.
Yeah, that we end up working with that are like, I know more than you. I'm hiring you anyways. Yeah, I'm still telling you what to do.
Yeah.
No matter what, and there comes to a point where, you have to make a choice. Do you stand up for yourself? You don't have to get offensive or rude about it in the response, but you have to be your own person at some point. Or that's business. When
you have I know something I experienced quite a bit when I was newer because I worked with a lot of, like I said, for sale by owners. Mm-hmm. I think this was probably the reason. I would just get clients that were just very, very I don't know what the right word is, stressed about the process, but they would just call non-stop. Yeah. I'm talking 5 a.m, 11 at night, no end to the times they would call. And if I didn't answer right then and there, I would just get chewed out. And I remember one time I had these clients that I was just crying because they were just being so rude.
People don't see this.
And it was a holiday. Too. It was Thanksgiving or something. I wanted to take a few hours off. I'm so thankful that my business is so far from this today because things were so different in the beginning. When I forget because I think back to, the way things were and I'm like, wow, my life's a lot more chill now. Thankfully.
I'm glad I got to join you though, because at the time, honestly, guys, I didn't understand kind of what Mariah was going through because I couldn't comprehend. I'm like, how could people be that cruel? Because obviously if you're crying or something, it's on you. You messed up your job for them to be that upset. But what I've learned is, yes, I've messed up.
Absolutely. We all mess up.
I haven't been destroyed about it.
Yeah.
I always ask questions and I always get the right answers from the right people. I have a great team behind me. And that's something that we've grown in confidence with over the last 7.5 years in doing this business and having you by my side in one of the best brokerages to be around and involved with, and the people within the brokerages. It's been quite amazing, seriously.
Yeah.
But that has been one game changer joining you in real estate is, man, there are some bad days, there's some highs, there's some lows in real estate. And right now I think we're really in a time, which maybe we do a next video topic about of kind of the real market update of what's happening. Let's do another show about kind of what's happening demographically around us, Salem, specifically. Because all I'm seeing is, negative talk and that type of thing. And a big part of that's views. Everybody wants more views on media.
Yeah.
But realistically, we need to know kind of what's happening around us real estate wise and economically. So that'll be in one of our next and upcoming shows in the next few weeks. For sure.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
Okay. So unless you have anything else to add, we have a couple quick questions. And then we'll wrap things up.
That's about it.
Yeah.
this show, it's it's more about our personal experiences, not much more information for you guys, but it's more about listen to what other people have maybe done. And these are all different types of personality traits. And this is what Mariah and I understand. We do not hold anything we're saying against anybody. We flush it. Seriously, things happen. You flush it. I could call that client I shared the story with tomorrow and have a conversation with them. So there's no hate. There's no bad play within any of our clients, and we don't hold that against anybody. So I did want to bring that to our viewers' attention, though, because you could interpret trash talking. No,
yes, that's not our heart or intention for this episode at all. Just sharing like experiences that you see as a realtor that maybe everyone doesn't get to hear about, and also. Like, I feel like you got to keep in mind, buying a home is, for some people, it's one of the most stressful, like apparently statistically, it's one of the most stressful things you'll ever go through in life, buying or selling a home and moving in general. So a lot of the people that we work with, maybe they're giving us a hard time, but we got to take it. It's our job. Like, we understand they're going through a lot right now. They've got a lot going on, and it's not our job to get upset about it or let it bother us because...
It is our job.
We got to be understanding and we'll hold their hand through the process. We understand. We get it. You're going through a lot. So we've been there.
I got sheets I print off for all my first time home buyers and even renew buyers. And we go through the list and I tell them, honestly, guys, you could memorize this if this is what you want to do, if this is what you want to do. But ultimately, my job is to kind of do it for you. And if you're working with a good agent, that's what's going to happen. And I take the stress off of you. You're going to be able to just focus on your transition of where you're at to get into your new home and take care of the financial portion of the real estate deal. I think that's the biggie because I obviously don't have access to anybody's bank accounts and stuff like that. So we help you through the buying process.
So a couple quick questions. First question is, how can you as a viewer, if you are not a real estate agent yourself, avoid being a home buyer from hell? That's the way Realtor.com phrased it. Yeah. I would never refer to a client that way myself. I would never refer to a client that way. I don't think any of these clients we talked about were even close to any of that. I'm sure agents I've worked with way worse situations. I know this is like not that bad. We're over here complaining. Like, no. Okay. So, but how can someone basically just avoid being hard to work with clients? Okay. I'll start out because I'm already talking. So one, just loyalty. Like I said with Spencer, with his story, those buyers that he had already put a lot of time and effort and work into could have understood, like, he doesn't have to be at the open house. They can still just call him up and write an offer. I've done that so many times. Times for my clients. If things don't work out with your schedules, that's okay. Now, of course, I would never say call another agent to show you the house and then let me write the offer, because that's...
Yeah, I don't like that.
No.
I've had an agent do that.
No, I've had people try to do that with me. I'm like, are you serious right now?
I'm not going to show them the house.
No
way.
Write the offer. No, that's not how things work. But anyway, so just loyalty. Be loyal. And if you're going to break up with your realtor, then break up with your realtor, but don't just ghost them. Like, have a conversation and be open and honest and yeah.
And if you have input, like, share your input, but then again, like, take into consideration what the realtor's telling you. Because every market's different. This market's so hard to predict when it comes to writing offers. Basically, that's where I see a lot of our clients getting frustrated because maybe they've been looking for a home for so long, offers have not been getting accepted, and they are now thinking they know more than the realtor, or they just continue to write the same offer because they believe that offer is going to get written, even though that real estate agent is telling them, guys, we have to make a change. We have to look different. We can't just keep throwing out offers, and I'm telling you they're not getting accepted. But there are some people saying, nope, write it. And if you don't, I'm going to fire you. And brokers are scared to stand up for themselves at some point. So if that is you, maybe be more workable, I would say. I think that's a good term to use. Be coachable and workable in a real estate transaction.
What are the strangest questions we've ever been asked by a home buyer? Anything like stick out to you?
It's not really like strange. I keep it pretty professional. Honestly, I'm direct. I stick to real estate. I don't get too personal, just besides like representing my daughter and stuff like that. Like, I have a family. I have a 2.5-year-old, that type of thing. But I don't really go into further depth. The one question I always get asked, like continuously, even cold calling on the phone, is like, how do you like working with your wife? How are you guys still married?
That's so funny. People ask that
every time. Now that we hit the 5-year mark, they're like, oh, good luck now. The honeymoon's over. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
That's so rude. People you work with or like clients?
I've just had comments like that, you know.
That's funny. I feel like we work better together than apart.
Too.
Like,
but there are some agents
we're
or
supposed
people
to work
that
together clearly
because we work with their spouse.
Right. It's not for everyone, but it's for us. One time I had a buyer who sweetest clients, loved them, but they just a random thing that was like on their criteria list was the texture in the walls had to be a certain kind of texture. Just something random. I don't even think about that when I go into houses. But it wasn't even like, it can't be this crazy, like we did like a pretty intense texture on our walls in our house because we like that. But it wasn't even like none of that. It was like none at all.
Smooth.
It was very interesting. I'm like, wow, now I'm going to start looking at texture more when I go into houses because that's just a very like particular detail that I just don't usually think of.
Generally, like around us though, like we're so plain in the same. Every builder uses the same texturing tools, unless you're a custom build. But the reason it's a custom build is because it's like redoing a house remodeling. You're able to put whatever you want in it. So
totally.
Yeah, if you're looking for a certain texture, I remember you telling me that story, and I said good luck.
I just thought it was funny. Anyway, okay, so I think we'll wrap it up here.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in this week and hanging out with us. Send us your real estate questions, and we will answer them in a future show. Best way to contact us is email or our website, which we will put in the description below. And if you or someone you know is thinking about buying or selling real estate in Salem, Oregon, or anywhere in the surrounding areas, contact us. We'd love to work with you.
Mm-hmm. And if you haven't already heard our number, it's 503-507-3666. I'm going to say that again, 503-507-3666. Feel free to reach out, contact us. We're happy to do free CMAs. We'll come to you in a easygoing appointment, hassle-free, and no pressure. And it's all on you.
And a quick little thing to add, if you are watching this video and you do not live in the state of Oregon, but you are thinking about making a move, contact us and we will definitely set you up with a solid agent in your area. We have contacts with really great agents in all kinds of places, and it could definitely save you time and money if you don't have an agent instead of just trying to find one online. So we'll see you guys
next week.
Yep. See you next week.